You wake up the next morning and there's a gap. A few hours are just gone. You know you were there. People tell you what you said, what you did, and none of it feels real. It's not that you forgot, it's that your brain never wrote it down in the first place. That's the strange part. Your memory isn't a recording. It's a construction site, and drugs don't erase the footage. They shut down the crew. Here's what actually happens inside your skull. Every memory starts in a small seahorse-shaped structure called the hippocampus. Neuroscientist Eric Kandel spent decades studying how neurons physically change shape to store a memory, a process called long-term potentiation. Basically, cells that fire together wire together. New connections form. A moment becomes permanent. Drugs interrupt this process at different points, and each one breaks it in its own strange way. Take alcohol first. In small amounts, it just makes you relaxed. But past a certain point, it blocks a receptor called NMDA. That receptor is the doorway the hippocampus uses to let new memories in. Close the door, and nothing gets encoded, not forgotten, never stored. This is why a blackout isn't fuzzy memory. It's a total blank. Researcher Aaron White at the National Institute on Alcohol Abuse and Alcoholism has shown that during a blackout, your brain can still walk, talk, and even hold a conversation. The lights are on. Nobody's home to write anything down. Now think about cannabis. Different mechanism, similar result. THC binds to receptors concentrated heavily in the hippocampus. Yale researcher Deepak D'Souza has run studies showing that THC disrupts the hippocampus's ability to filter and organize incoming information. Users often describe losing their train of thought mid-sentence. That's not a joke about being high. That's your hippocampus actively failing to hold the thread of what just happened 3 seconds ago. Then, there are the drugs that do something almost the opposite. Stimulants, like cocaine or high-dose amphetamines, flood your brain with dopamine and norepinephrine. In the short term, this can actually sharpen focus and make memories feel vivid, intense, burned in. But here's the twist. Chronic use rewires the reward circuitry so aggressively that everyday memories start to feel dull by comparison. Ordinary experience gets crowded out by the memory of the drug itself. Your brain starts prioritizing one memory above all others. And then, there's the deepest cut of all. Chronic, heavy use of almost any of these substances can physically shrink the hippocampus over time. Brain imaging studies, including work published by researcher Nora Volkow, director of the National Institute on Drug Abuse, have shown measurable volume loss in heavy users. The structure that builds your memories literally gets smaller. So why does this matter to you, even if you've never touched any of this? Because it reveals something uncomfortable about memory itself. You like to think of your past as fixed, as something that already happened and is safely stored away. But memory was never guaranteed. It's fragile. It's biological. It depends on a tiny structure doing its job correctly, moment by moment, every single day of your life. Every night you sleep, your hippocampus is quietly doing the same work drugs interrupt. Sorting the day. Deciding what stays and what gets discarded. Most of what happens to you is already being erased, sober or not. Drugs just make that erasure sudden and visible and undeniable. Which means the real question isn't what happened during the hours you lost. It's how much of every ordinary day you're already losing, without ever noticing the gap.